Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it was suggested to me in this last time of reading poetry during this open mic that I share poetry from brand new book releases, especially ones that someone else had published of me. This year, cyberwit.net published a book of my women's issues poetry. Describe it, sexism, feminism poetry, women's issues, everything from stuff about events of the year to things translated into other languages, Dutch, Lithuanian, Farsi. I got somebody from Iran to translate poetry for me. I love it. Hindi, Slovak, Spanish. There's even a Chinese poem in here. This book is titled Shattering the Glass Ceiling. I was honored that they wanted to have this book, which even includes, toward the end, a book for men section with lots of photos about terminology for women. But I thought, because I'd have this chance to be able to show it within this book, some of the poems that I have that are translated into Farsi. Persian, as some would say, but my Iranian friend would say, call it Farsi. And so I would too. I'm going to read the poem, and then on this tablet here, because I think it might show up better than the pages of this book, I will try to show the Farsi version of the poem as well. Each poem is in English, set on the left-hand page, so they're left justified, and then on the right-hand page, which is right justified, is the Farsi version of the poem. This first one is titled, A Man Calls a Woman. Every time a man calls a woman a babe, he tells her he thinks of her as a child. Every time a man calls a woman a fox, he tells her that she's to be treated like an animal. Every time a man calls a woman a honey, he tells her she is meant to be consumed. Every time a man calls a woman a doll, he tells her she is something to be played with. Every time a man calls a woman a bag, he tells her that she's something to be used. Every time a man calls a woman a slit, he tells her that she's a body part, not a whole. Every time a man calls a woman a screw, he tells her what he wants to do to her and what he does to her. Every time a man calls a woman a girl, he tells her she can't think like an adult. Every time a man calls a woman a whore, he tells her that she is wrong for having sex. Every time a man calls a woman a lay, he tells her that she's no good on her feet. Every time a man calls a woman anything less than a woman, he tells her who's the boss. And yes, we all know who the boss is, boys. You've done such a good job of telling us. And to try to share this poem with you in Farsi, see if I can blow it up as much as I can. Why not? The Farsi for, oh, it's really hard to see, you guys. Different cameras make it impossible for me to show it. But anyway. Noises going on all of my equipment. This next poem for you is titled In Their Homes or in the Streets. You'll never understand. Have you ever felt that everything you did, from the clothes you chose to the wear, to the way you styled your hair, to the way you walked on the street, to the way you sat at your desk, to whether you looked at people when they passed you in the grocery store, when you picked up your food for the family? Have you ever felt that everything you did was under the scrutiny of half the world? That a stare could haunt you if you looked too confident, or your eyes wandered for too long and actually caught someone's gaze, or if your skirt was too short, or if you didn't cross your legs, or if you ate a banana, or happened to lick your lips. Have you felt it? Well, you're not a woman. That is the difference, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I try to make these things, they're unreadable for you guys, and I'm sorry about that. Which is very sad for me, because I'd like to be able to share these with you, I really would. And I'm trying to find the next one to share with you. Man Calls a Woman I just read, and I'm sorry that I cannot get them to come so clearly in, but they're here, and you can check them out as this book is now available from cyberwit.net. If you want to know about it, you can go to janetkuypers.com as well. There's a link to it at the main page. This one is titled Middle Class Husbands and Fathers. Rapists are not all convicted prisoners. Rapists are not all psychopaths. Rapists are not all welfare recipients. Rapists are not all foaming at the mouth. Rapists are not all abused by their parents. Rapists are not all sex depraved. Rapists are not all gun-toting criminals. Rapists are not all undereducated. Rapists are not all jobless. Rapists are not all beaten as children. Rapists are not all minorities. Rapists are not all criminally insane. Rapists are in your office. Rapists are in your convenience mart. Rapists are in your local tavern. Rapists are in your school. Rapists are in your restaurant. Rapists are in your carpool. Rapists are in your grocery store. Rapists are in your country club. Rapists are in your church. Rapists are in your family reunion. Rapists are in your living room. Rapists are in your bedroom. They come in all shapes and sizes. They're everywhere. I keep trying to show it to you guys. But as I said, and actually, if you go to janetkuypers.com, it will link to all of these poems, and you can see much larger versions of these as well. But the next poem I'd like to share with you is Most Accurate Metaphors. Now, there's two ways this can happen, little girl. You can keep fighting me, and if that's the case, I'll have to keep my hand over your mouth and this knife at your neck. Or you can relax, enjoy yourself, make this easier on both of us. You know you want this, so stop fighting it. I saw the way you were looking at me earlier, the way you stared at me, the way you were dressed. I know what you were thinking. Don't say a word. Did you think those drinks were free? How long did you think I would wait? It's my turn now. You owe me this. Just do as I say, and no one gets hurt. It's hard to accurately show these to you, but they're all also online, and you can see them in Farsi as well. The next poem I'd like to share with you is The Measuring Scale. Why don't you dissect me? Take every single part of me and equate it with power tools, sports, and violence. Bang me, screw me, nail me, hammer me, bag me, pump me, shoot it in me. Maybe you can even score. If we're talking about measuring scales, what about the scales that define the way you treat us? On one end of it is the minor stuff, calling us baby and sugar, whistling at us when we walk by, but then just along that scale, get to the blonde jokes. Yes, they are so funny. Then how about a pinch in the rear at the office? Well, that's harmless enough. And while we're at it, porn movies and magazines, what harm can they do? And hey, women have always worked at home, so you should have all the jobs and get the better pay anyway. And since we're just your property, fuck us whenever you want. I mean, hey, you're doing it already in every other aspect of our repressed, oppressed lives, so rape us, smack us around, knock us down a flight of stairs. That's what we're here for. God, I don't even know how to measure these things any longer. It's hard to justify, and this one is on page 129 of the book, which some cameras cannot see at all. No, you can't. It makes me feel bad. You can find them online, and you can also get a copy of this book and have a cool written copy of it to be able to check out as well. I might share with you 1, 2, maybe 3 more. Maybe 3 more. That sounds good. I'll share 3, and I'll share all of the Farsi, the poems translated from my friend Fareed Mohammadi from Iran, who did these for me. This one is The Men at the Construction Site. A woman told me that scientists did an experiment. Oh, I did this in the other show, but I'm going to share it with you anyway. No, I shouldn't, because I'm seeing the time is lying. I did that at the other show, so I'm not going to share that one with you. I'm going to do 2 poems that have these translations in the book. The one I'm not sharing with you was read in Arkansas, so you have to check out that show for the poem. This is Content with Inferior Men. There are some theorists that say that women need to be able to look up to a man in order to feel complete. These theorists would say that a woman could not be president, at least not on a personal level. Think of it, here's a woman, the most important person on earth, and she would never know of anyone who had more power than her. How could she look up to any man? How could she admire any man? How could she respect any man? And you know, I can kind of see that point. How can you love someone you don't respect? I mean, I want someone in my life who can teach me something, that can help me grow. And if I was the most powerful person on earth, I would probably think that no one could teach me anything. But the only thing I could think of in response to this theory is, why don't men who are presidents of the United States find themselves unhappy with their boring, unequal, supportive wives? Why is it that men are content with inferior women, but women aren't content with inferior men? I am not going to share the Farsi versions because I think it's too hard to see, but you can find them online and you can find them from the Cyber book that is available through Amazon. This is the last one I'm going to share with you with the Farsi translation. This one's called I'm Thinking About Myself Too Much. All of my life, it has all been about you. What do you need? What do you want? How can I help you? What can I do for you? And now for once I start to live, and now you tell me that I'm thinking about myself too much. And I think back to all the time I've spent with you and all the care I've given you, and now you tell me that I'm thinking about myself too much. And I've cooked for you, and I've cleaned for you, and I've made sure everything in your world made sense. And now you tell me that I'm thinking about myself too much. And all I can think is that you're only angry because I'm thinking about me at all. I did not show Content with Inferior Men, but I can try to show the impossible to see, and get that out of the way, the impossible to see Farsi translation of the poem on this screen. As I said, all of these things are available online to look at, or you can look for this book, Shattering the Glass Ceiling by Janet Kuypers. It is through cyberwit.net. It was the coolest thing to have this book published during Women's History Month. I was glad to be a part of it, where I was standing on a glass ceiling and looking up at another glass edge there. And of course I've got my hammer so I can shatter it in this cover photo. I hope everybody's enjoyed those poems. I hope everyone is remaining strong and safe during this coronavirus, this novel coronavirus pandemic, and I hope everyone's remaining creatively inclined, because that is what also keeps us strong. So stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much for listening, you guys, and I look forward to getting together and sharing and hearing from you all very, very soon. Thank you all so very much. Thank you, thank you.